Taking notes from Iran and Ukraine, is China now supercharging its drone power to dominate the next big war at sea? Iran's top ally rolls out new naval defense systems against anti-ship drones. Is Beijing quietly building an iron dome for its fleet? After the Hormuz crisis and drone chaos in global choke points, is the Black Sea next as Xi's forces drill hard for full-scale drone warfare? Chinese state media say Beijing has unveiled a new naval anti-drone air defense system designed to protect warships from low-flying unmanned threats. According to CCTV, the system has passed a full finalisation test in the Bohai Sea, marking the end of its development phase. Officials say this successful trial clears the system for mass production and deployment across China's naval fleet. Reports add that the system intercepted multiple low-flying drones during the test, demonstrating its ability to counter difficult targets. Chinese media claim the target drones executed high-difficulty stealth attack profiles meant to stress the system's sensors and interceptors. The exercise was described as simulating realistic combat conditions at sea, rather than a simple range demonstration. In the scenario, drones reportedly flew just above sea level to evade shipborne radar detection through sea-skimming tactics. Beijing says the system continued to operate effectively even in complex electromagnetic conditions, suggesting resistance to jamming and interference. CCTV broadcast footage that showed sea-skimming drones being destroyed in mid-flight during the interception sequence. However, the broadcast did not reveal the weapon's official name or detailed technical specifications, keeping much of the design secret. Chinese outlets also blurred images of the control room and the intercepting platform in the footage to conceal sensitive details. Authorities claimed the test generated solid data that will be used to further improve the system's combat performance. The reports note that the PLA Navy has been steadily expanding its ship-based air defense capabilities to meet rising drone threats. China is simultaneously upgrading short-range interceptor missiles optimized for naval warfare and close-in defense. Previously, Beijing unveiled the Liaoyuan-1 laser weapon as another tool to counter drone swarms and bolster layered ship protection. Even as President Donald Trump praised his talks with President Xi Jinping, a senior U.S. military commander warned that China is continuing to rapidly expand and modernize its armed forces. Lieutenant General Stephen Sklenka said China can no longer be described merely as a near-peer rival to the United States. Speaking at the Modern Day Marine Expo in Washington, Sklenka declared that Beijing now rivals Washington across nearly every major area of power. The Marine General also warned that any future war with China would make the Iran conflict pale by comparison. According to Sklenka, even Iran, despite being a mid-tier power, managed to inflict significant military pain on the United States and its allies. Sklenka further warned that China's shipbuilding capacity is now reportedly 230 times larger than that of the United States. The general also claimed Beijing has rapidly expanded its ballistic missile arsenal and nuclear submarine production capabilities. The warning comes just days after Trump publicly hailed his discussions with Xi Jinping as productive and successful. Lieutenant General Stephen Sklenka said, and I quote, "The Chinese leader's vision is to upend the international structure and supplant us as the global leaders. And in many ways, it's been Xi's thinking, his vision that has helped my own thinking about the demands of modern warfare, particularly when waged in the Pacific and particularly waged against a peer adversary, something that's new to all of us. We're about 2 months into combat operations with epic fury. We've got service members who have tragically been wounded and killed by Iran. They've launched hundreds of drones and ballistic missiles at our bases and our allies throughout the region. Israel, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Kuwait, Jordan, reinforcing the point that the bases that we have, they're no longer administrative garrison sanctuaries. We really need to start looking at our bases as war-fighting formations, just as critical of a war-fighting formation as our divisions, wings, and MEUs. Their nuclear stockpile is the fastest growing in the world. They're pursuing innovative, intelligentized warfare tactics. They're using artificial intelligence, drone swarms, exploring the cognitive and innovative domains to achieve their dominance. They're building a military design to dominate the Pacific, and I believe ultimately beyond the Pacific. None of us in uniform today have ever had to operate in a world where a legitimate peer simultaneously contests us in every single domain. We are talking terrestrially and non-terrestrially, kinetically and non-kinetically. We're going to have to fight to get to that fight, and we're going to have to embrace these challenges and not operate under the auspices of how we did in the 80s and 90s. History is proven, and our current operations are confirmed, that the society that can project and sustain power and sustain their forces most effectively, ultimately, they prevail, unquote. A top US Marine general has warned that any future war with China may not begin with missiles, fighter jets, or conventional battlefield attacks. Lieutenant General Stephen Sklenka said the opening strikes could instead target American military bases through cyber warfare and other non-kinetic attacks. Sklenka warned that the Pentagon must urgently strengthen base defenses before any confrontation with Beijing erupts. The Marine general specifically called for hardened infrastructure, resilient power grids, and stronger counter-drone systems across US military installations. His remarks come amid growing fears in Washington that China's military buildup has reached a level capable of directly challenging the United States. Sklenka also claimed Chinese President Xi Jinping has effectively placed China on a wartime footing backed by massive industrial output. The warning adds fresh urgency to rising US-China tensions even after President Donald Trump described his recent talks with Xi as successful. The US Navy submarine fleet is under growing strain as nearly 40% of attack submarines now sit out of action tied up in ports, leaving commanders with fewer deployable boats to meet global commitments. At least 18 of the Navy's 49 attack submarines currently remain in port awaiting repairs, a backlog that has squeezed operational schedules and reduced the force's ability to surge when crises arise. That maintenance crisis unfolds as some of President Trump's advisors privately warn that a summit with Xi Jinping could increase the strategic risk to Taiwan over the next 5 years, injecting political urgency into readiness debates. An Axios report claims internal US assessments now see a higher possibility of increased Chinese military movement, a development that would magnify the consequences of any shortfalls in undersea capability.
$25 करोड़ गरीब गरीबी को परास्त करके बाहर निकले।
For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
The fastest news breaks.
Requested PM saying that we will have to speak to Putin and to Zelensky.
The biggest newsmakers.
The relationship with India is probably the most important bilateral relationship the U.S. will have for the rest of this century.
The capital delivered quite an election result today.
Expert analysis.
The million-dollar question today is how to stop this dance of death.
Ground reports.
I'm standing at the crossroad of the Kumbh Mela. Behind me are more than 100 entry ghats.
Long-form interviews.
Exclusionary politics is reflected in Manipur case as well. You don't bother because this is a small state.
Deep dive into burning issues.
It's often said DRC could be the richest country in the whole world. It's because of what sits underneath.
Why exactly did the US topple the Sheikh Hasina government?
HD videos. We don't just break news, we break it down.